Hi everyone! Today I have a special treat. I'm in the kitchen with my mother, Mrs. Deborah Harris, and I have been trying for years to get her to get in the kitchen with me to show some of her recipes. One of our family favorites is her sweet potato pie. There's no one in our family who can make it as good as her, and today she finally agreed to do it. So she's going to share her recipe with you all, and I hope you love it. It's going to be something that you're going to make again and again. I have a new cookbook out. It's called I'll Have Another Slice. It's tried and true recipes for the home baker. It's some of my favorite recipes, some of the most requested recipes that I have that my family and friends request, like my red velvet and my mother-in-law's delicious 7-Up pound cake recipe. She inspired me to create a version from her recipe. So there's a lot of really delicious recipes in here, and I hope that you get a chance to check it out and buy it if you like. I'll leave a link in the description box for you so you can check it out at Amazon. So Mom, this sweet potato pie recipe is so famous in our family. Everybody gets used to make it. It is one of those things that you make for every holiday, every event. When I gave birth to my 2 kids, and we even gave it to my doctors. Everybody loves this pie. It's really, really delicious, and she's going to share it with us today. Now we are going to give you the recipe, so don't worry about trying to figure out what we're using. I will post the recipe so you can know exactly what we're doing. So what are we starting with?
Well, you need some cooked sweet potatoes, and you can either boil the sweet potatoes or roast them, and then after you finish that, you take the jackets, the skin off of the sweet potatoes. So what we've done, we've cut them in pretty big chunks, and I'm just going to take a potato masher and mash them.
So this normally, since we're filming, we don't have them completely hot, but normally under normal circumstances you would work with hot sweet potatoes right out of the
I usually use hot sweet potatoes because I just like when I put the butter in and it continues to melt. I don't have to use complete melted butter. That's my preference.
Now, do you prefer to boil the potatoes or bake them?
Many times I boil them, but I really like them baked because I just think it's just more of the sugar of the sweet potato comes out and is sweeter.
The flavors are more intense. I
Yes.
think it's
Yes.
so that's really good. And so we're basically right now you're just trying to help the mixer so the mixer doesn't have as much work to do.
Yes. So this is good.
Okay. And now we have the sweet potatoes. What's next?
We're going to I use the mixer, the blender, just to make it smoother.
Okay.
So you can start out on low. You don't want it shooting all over.
So these sweet potatoes, first my mom mashed them with the masher, and then she took an electric mixer, a hand mixer, and mixed it until the sweet potatoes were more smooth because
all
that
the lumps
helps it.
came out of them. Yes.
Okay, so what's next?
Okay, so I'm just going to stir them all together. Then I begin to add my ingredients.
So my mom makes these pies all the time, and she's so used to making them that she doesn't measure. So today I'm going to try to watch how much she does so that I can write it down so that you guys have pretty exact measurements. But just in general, the recipe is normally by feel and by taste. Is that normally how you?
All of my cooking skills came from my mom, who was a wonderful chef, and Mom never had a recipe. So she eyed everything, and she knew how much exactly would go in just by looking at it, touching it, tasting it. And so this is sweet potato recipe. It's that way.
Something else that you said, how much you add to it also depends on the consistency of the sweet potato.
Yes, and it really, each fall I try to search out for the best sweet potatoes. I love my sweet potatoes really red, golden red, and I like them not to be so starchy or stringy. I will not use a stringy sweet potato. So sometimes I buy them and try them out and don't use them, and I keep searching until I find the right kind of sweet potato. So with real starchy sweet potatoes, I end up putting more liquid into it, some more of the mixture into it. So today I think I have just a medium kind. I've had some that's even looser than this, but this is a medium consistency for sweet potatoes.
Not too starchy.
Not too starchy.
Okay, so what next?
Our sugar.
Okay. Let's start off with.
And this recipe calls for 2 cups of sugar.
2 cups?
Correct.
Well, you can start out with 2 cups, right? And then
Yes,
taste
and
it.
that's the thing as well.
So far we have 2.
As I said, follow my mom's direction. I'll start out with 2 cups of sugar, but I taste and take a taste test along the way.
And really, especially if you don't know what condition your sweet potatoes are going to be in, if they're going to be starchy, they might need a little more sugar.
Yes, exactly. Now I'm going to make the custard that's so important to the sweet potato. And really, I've had some other people sweet potato where they don't add the custard as much, but I have more of a custard filling in my sweet potato pies. So I start off with 1 cup of evaporated milk, and then I add to it 4 eggs. Then I whisk it together.
And you do it kind of separate. I know sometimes I see people do pies, they add the egg and the milk to the sweet potatoes, but you like to make it more smooth, I guess.
Yes, I want it to be consistent.
Smooth.
Yes, and have it together so I know exactly how much I need of it.
And so in this bowl is just evaporated milk and eggs.
Yeah, it's 4 eggs.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to add it to the sweet potato mix.
And so you're just looking for a certain type of consistency, because I know in the past I've watched you make it, and sometimes you don't use all of the custard. And I'm always like, well, how can I get a recipe from that if I don't know how much you added because you have some left? But that's how you do it. Hopefully today we'll be able to use all of this.
I don't know. Because you don't want too much of the custard mixture.
Right. And we'll show you exactly the consistency that you're looking for so that at home when you make it, you can kind of get an idea of when to stop.
I think I'm going to use most of it today.
I would hope so. It'd be easier for people to follow along, but it's okay though. I want you to make it how you normally make it. And these potatoes look good.
Yeah, they look nice and pretty. And really this is the consistency. And I can add this and it won't hurt it at all.
Now, like we have been discussing, if for some reason you have a sweet potato that's a little more less starchy,
yes,
you may not add all of this, but we will show you a clip of what.
Yeah, and this is good. This is
You
great
like it?
consistency.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it. It's gonna come down just like this. As I said, I've had other people's sweet potatoes that taste good, and it's not as loose as this. Okay, now I'm gonna add 1.5. So one.
You have 1.5 sticks of butter.
Yes, 1.5 sticks of butter, which equals to about a cup of melted butter.
It's about 3/4 cup. 3/4 cup.
So I'm going to add that to the mixture.
And this is salted butter, but you said you use both.
I use both. Sometimes, and it just depends on the sweet potato, I will add a dash of salt to it, but with the salted butter, many times I don't need to.
You're gonna add all of it.
Put it all in there.
So after you use the electric hand mixer that one time, you never use it again.
No.
Everything else is by hand.
Let's get all of the lumps out of it, just like you would do mashed potatoes. I use a mixer for my mashed potatoes as well. Just help you get the lumps out. Now comes the spices. But before I put the spices in, I'm going to do a taste test to check on the amount of sugar. That's one thing my mom always does. She always have her little tasting going on to help guide her. It needs more sugar. And I think Kelly, remember when she was growing up, I would always have her come up and taste. Kelly, does this need more sugar? Does it need more
You always
salt?
did that, and Grandma, I used to sneak Grandma's biscuits and eat them raw dough. Yes, but you definitely did have me taste things.
So I'm gonna add another cup of sugar.
So that'll be 3 cups of sugar.
And I'll need another spoon to taste. Good.
You don't need another?
Not so far. So now we're
And
gonna
one
add our
thing
spice.
about the sweet potato pie that I think you mentioned it to me one time before, that you seem like you have to add a little more than you think with the sweet potatoes, because when it bakes, I don't know, is that what you said or no?
Well, no, once you taste it before you go in, it's usually enough. It's just the potatoes, the kind of sweet potatoes really is a factor in the sweetness of the potatoes.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to start with our spices.
What do you want to start with first?
Let's start with the cinnamon.
Okay. So you don't overdo it with the cinnamon. I see some people make do a lot of cinnamon, but yours is only just 1 teaspoon. And then you also use nutmeg, so I can start grating that in, right?
Yes.
And that's about a teaspoon as well. You know what? I need to grate this on the stop. I try to do one. This is 1 teaspoon of freshly grated. We use the actual whole nutmeg and grated it.
Yes.
Teaspoon of nutmeg.
Yes.
And did it need salt?
Didn't need salt.
So you don't need salt. And we also have the zest of an orange, because I really like the way that tastes, right, when you do that.
I've added the zest of an orange. I've actually sometimes added a little bit of bourbon in it in my sweet potato pies, just sometimes if I want to be fancy.
Or even peach schnapps.
Peach schnapps, yes.
Good too.
Yes, that's really good for the sweet potato pies.
So how much of this do you think we should use?
About half of it. The orange seems to really bring out the essence of the taste and of the flavor of the pumpkin. It complements it very well.
Sweet potato.
But yes, sweet potato, not pumpkin. That's another.
Sweet potato and orange is a really good combination. Even when I make sweet potato pancakes or sweet potato muffins or sweet potato
bread. Or if you
bread.
use candied yams, you can add orange to it as well.
So we have orange, cinnamon, and nutmeg that you've added. Now you're going to add the extracts.
Yes.
So we have the almond.
I just use a very, very little almond, 1/8 of a teaspoon. Sometimes I would even skip the almond. And one of the reasons why almond has a very powerful taste in it, would dominate the other flavors. But just to bring it out just a little, I'll add about 1/8 of a teaspoon.
Okay, what's next? We have vanilla and lemon extract. Here's the lemon.
And I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon of that. 1/2 teaspoon of the lemon.
And just a reminder, you're using pure of these. Pure lemon, pure vanilla, pure almond extract.
And my daughter taught me, never use the imitation. Don't bring it into your house.
I mean, the imitation is just, if you're going to make something for your family and friends, you want it to be special. It tastes really good.
And 1 whole teaspoon of the vanilla, sister.
1 whole teaspoon of vanilla.
And this spoon, I'm going to taste again. Very good.
Does it need anything?
Not really. I think we're good.
Okay.
We did it this time.
Yes, we finally got the
scientific way.
Yes. We finally got the recipes for the sweet potato pie that everybody loves. So the next thing we're gonna do is pour it into the pie shell so we can see how many pies we actually get from this filling. So Mom, you're gonna start filling these pies, and so you just scoop the filling in?
Yes, that's what I use.
And we definitely want to keep an eye on how full you do it. You did mention that you would probably use a little less of the evaporated milk.
Yes.
So we'll make sure that the recipe is...
You don't want to get it to the rim, and if you see any on the side, you should take it off because it will burn if you have any of the filling on the side. You're going to fill it close to the top but not over it.
So my mom was able to get 3 regular 9-inch pie shells with this. But you were saying that if you're going to use the deep dish...
Yeah, if you're using deep dish, you probably use all of the mixture. We had about 1.5 cups left. But you have to be very mindful of deep dish. It's going to require that you cook it much longer. My preference has always been the regular
9-inch.
9-inch.
And also, with the remaining, if you can find them, sometimes they're hard to find, but if you can find those little mini pie shells, you could use the mini pie shells to fill up with the rest, because it was like a little bit left.
And that's usually the favorite of the folks that I make.
Everybody likes their own individual
pie. Yes.
Exactly.
So if you can get them.
And so the oven is preheated for 350 degrees. We're going to place these in there and we're going to check them probably around how long?
About 45 minutes to start checking on them.
And what are you looking for?
You want it not to be loose.
Set? Kind of set.
And there should be a little brown on the top.
Okay, so we'll see you back when the pies are out of the oven. So the sweet potato pie is out of the oven, and Mom, how long did it take to bake?
About 55 minutes. I checked it at 45 minutes and felt that it just needed but a few more minutes.
And that was it.
That's it.
The sweet potato pie looks really, really yummy. If you look, it's nice and creamy. And I made a quick whipped cream. I added a little bit of sugar and some cinnamon and a little bit of rum. And this is a nice garnish to put on the top of your sweet potato pie. And you can just serve it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful dish for your family and friends, especially during the holidays. Thank you so much, everybody. Hope you make this sweet potato pie for your family and friends. I know you're gonna love it. And thank you so much, Mom, for coming in the kitchen with me. We had such a great time.
It was my pleasure.
And we finally got to do this. This is a really treat. Thank you.